All right, good afternoon. This is the Mansfield School Building Committee meeting for July 28, 2022. Thanks everyone for joining us. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 14 minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Thank you, Chris. Is there a second? Tony or Steve, are you there yet? Okay.
Randy, it's Steve Farino. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Are there any corrections? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor of approving the July 14 minutes, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
Mary, were you not there?
I was not there, so I would abstain.
All right, I need some advice here. If we only have 3 members that were here. Tony, does that mean we have to bring this back to the next meeting?
No, you have a quorum, so a majority of the quorum will work.
All right, okay. Then, any abstentions? Sorry, we have one abstention. We have actually 2 abstentions, and then none opposed. All right, okay, that was complicated. All right. Then that brings us to our contractor update. Al?
And Al, just so you know, I do have the procurement log and critical path and schedule available if you need me to bring those up on the screen for you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Al.
Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can, thanks.
Okay. So the first photo, aerial photo here is the building looking from the west. We have a lot of site work activities going on right now, especially in the south of the building here. They've started sidewalks in this pre-K area. They've started the stone wall down here, and they've started boxing out for sidewalks down here. They're also boxing out for the asphalt sidewalk that will go around the building. They're doing that over here now. Most of the siding is complete except for the trim at the rakes and fascias. They're doing fascias and soffits right now on the south side. This is looking at building A north. They've started the e-pay in the admin area here. All the clear story windows are in and caulked. All the insulated board has been installed. And once they're done with the soffits, they'll do the cement board siding back on this roof area. This is a drone shot of the south area of A. You can see sidewalks are going in. Sidewalks are boxed out down here. You're going to wait until the wall is finished before they do any sidewalks down here. It'll just be in the way. It's another shot, aerial shot showing the eastern side of B and C. This is a shot of building B north. They're installing the e-pay siding now. Here, they're building the CMU wall between the loading dock and the cafe right here. That's just about done. About another day or 2 will complete that.
Al, what's that trench that's coming out now? That's something new from the building
Yeah.
to the, what's happening there?
Yeah, it's just an underground conduit that's needed.
What's it, what is it and why wasn't it done before?
I'm not sure why it wasn't done before, but it is required.
Okay, then let's do it.
Yeah. This is the Building C North. You can see all the windows and glass are in now. They're prepped for, they've got their girts, their insulation, and their 2x4s installed. And so they're ready for siding over here now. This is the site drainage on the south side of the existing school. There's a playground area that goes on top of this. They'll be done with this within the next week. This is looking at the north side of the property by the bus loop. They've got the curbing down to the gravel road. They're doing the drainage structures here. They started digging out. This is going to be the same type of system that we have in the backside. So this exact system is going to be going up here. So they're digging that out now.
Al,
Al,
can I ask a
go ahead.
question?
Hey, go ahead, Tony, and then Chris.
I don't understand those long pipes on the previous image. It's a site drainage system, so the water is going to drain into those pipes?
Yes, these aren't pipes. They're it's like a plastic covering. And the wastewater will travel inside these galleys, and they'll naturally just absorb into the soil. It's like a leaching field. And then there's stone that goes on top of these.
Okay, now this is water coming from runoff?
All the drainage, all your site storm drainage will go
Okay.
into it.
And the water will ultimately just seep into the soil? Is that the goal?
Yep, it's a leaching field, and all the soil just leaches into the soil below.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, Chris, did you have a question, by the way?
Yeah, Tony asked it and Al answered it. Thank you.
Okay. This is the pump house area. They have the fence up around the compactor and dumpsters. They've started grading out the pavement areas, getting ready for pavement. That should be within the next month. We should be putting the binder course down.
Can I ask a question about this too?
Sure.
This is going to be the dumpsters. I assume that there's an opening in that wall. It looks pretty solid from this image.
Yeah, there's a double gate in the front.
Okay.
These two panels open up, they swing open. So a truck can go in there and either pick up dumpsters or that, what do they call it? Compactor is
Okay.
also in. Yep.
And Al, you mentioned the binder. Is it not going to be paved? Is it a different material? Is that what goes underneath the asphalt? What's going on?
Yeah, it's a double layer a driveway where you have normally you have a 2-inch binder and an 1.5-inch top course, which I believe is the case here. But we'll do the binder first so people can run on it. Your furniture can be delivered on a binder course. And then once we finish the parking lot in front, we'll pave everything so it's all new.
Okay. Thank
Instead
you.
of doing the top court and letting people run on it until we open, it's easier to do the binder course. It's a better product if you do the binder course and then do a finish course later when all the construction's done.
Mm-hmm. Good.
This is the south side of A. You can see all the curtain wall are in and all the glass. They've got the snap caps to do on the aluminum frames, but we're watertight back here now. They've got the entry doors they're putting in now. This one's in. They got to put the glass in it. The one on the west side of A, the frame is in. They got to put glass in there. And once they put the glass in these surrounds, we'll use a temporary door here. We will not use the permanent doors. We'll put those in absolutely last when all the heavy traffic is going. This dozer, he's prepping for the asphalt walks. These are all concrete walks here.
And those sticks with the orange tops are what?
Most of them are just holding the forms in place,
Ah, okay.
and they're also used to grade. There's little holes in these stakes, and you drive a nail through and it will keep it at the proper elevation.
Mm,
But those get pulled out as you pour the concrete.
thanks.
And is that the stone in the back, Al, for the wall?
Yes, I have better pictures of the wall, but these are the pallets of stone that will create that seating wall. This is they've screened all the topsoil that was on the existing site from this phase. There's still a stockpile of soil over at the transfer station, which they'll bring the operation over there and start screening over there once they need it. So this is all screened topsoil. This is all the spoils over here. And this pile here is just background gravel. This is the site drainage that we looked at the aerial with. This is the south side. You can see these are hollow and allows the water just to permeate through here and then just weep into the subsurface. It's another shot.
Just a question about that. Suppose we get a storm that dumps 5 inches of rain. What happens if this gets, or how much rain would it take for it to get overloaded? And what happens if it does get overloaded?
That would be a question for the engineers. They design these types of systems based on the number of catch basins and the square footage of area it's collecting water from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all engineered.
I hope they're taking into account the new weather forecasts for storm activity in New England.
Yeah.
Tony, this is Scott from Colliers. Typically, they design to the 100-year storm. So I know that, you know, they designed to that parameter. You know, and if that's been updated, certainly then you know, in recent years with current activity, they should have designed to that. You know, as far as overflow after that, yeah, I would defer to the engineers.
Okay, thank you.
Here's a close-up picture of the seating wall that's going to be going right across here. These strings are the lines for that wall. So they're maybe 25% done. They're doing a good job though.
And that stone is from where?
I'm not sure where they got it. It's locally sourced stone.
Locally sourced? Good, thank you.
I'm not sure what yard they got it out of.
That's okay. I just wanted to know the local or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you guys recall, this was an element that we all thought was necessary because it's holding the memory of the Dewing Wall up there on Browns Road. So it's kind of a fragment of the wall, the beautiful wall that Mansfield has that's rolling up and down Browns Road next to the church. So it's a connection to the history of that, and it's a gesture towards that. So hopefully, you know, through reviews and looking at that, we'll get the similar feel. But understanding that back in the day when they built the Dewing Wall, it was a whole different era. So we're trying to get close.
Okay, that all happened before I joined, so thanks for the help.
It's just a closer look at them grading the roadway, but in front of the pump house. Closer
Al,
look.
I'm just a question back on the drainage things. The arches, what's their, I don't know, I don't need a number, but their capacity for, I know this playground is on top of that, but what about driving trucks and so forth over that? Could you drive that cat, for example, over it? And how deep is it from the soil surface to the, or from the surface, whatever's on it, to the top of the arches?
You can see where finished grade is back here. So there's
Or just
probably
way up there.
There's probably 5 feet of fill on top of this, but you have this crushed stone actually covers this tank. You know, there's probably a foot or so of stone fill at the top, and then you have a a geotextile fabric, and then you would have your fill and topsoil on top of that.
And what's the, I mean, would you take one of those excavators and drive it over there without worry?
No, I
Or
wouldn't.
is it now off limits?
Yeah, yep.
So if they come in with a delivery of a new playground equipment, or they're running tractors on top for who knows what, fertilizing, cutting the grass, regrading a field, what are the risks? I mean, I don't mean it's I understand you're building to the design, so maybe
Yeah.
Scott should answer this one too. But
Yeah,
what's the
it-
sense of that?
Yeah,
It would-
I'm-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, not being the engineer, but these are designed, they're not H20 load rated for, heavy construction equipment, but all your normal yard maintenance equipment and all, with the way it's engineered, should not be a challenge.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, this is a close-up of the E-Pay siding at the administration area. And there's wood battens that go vertically here, so it's not quite done yet, but we're getting there. This is the north area of A. All the metal siding is done. We just have to do the rakes and the fascias and soffits. This is building B East. Again, they've started the soffits back here. They'll be doing the fascias next. They started running soffits over on this side as well.
Al, with the sloped roof edges, did we come up with a solution for the fog test issue there?
I believe the fog test. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, we have made the repairs. We're just waiting for them to do the retest over there.
Okay.
Yep. This is the nook between see, they boxed out the concrete walks on this side. They'll be installing the E-Pay over here once they're done with the other side.
Al, I'm curious about the circular piece that seems to be in those louvered windows.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the inside of these rooms, we have dehumidifier units.
Gotcha.
And then we also have some AC units. The smaller tubes that are coming out are the dehumidifiers, and the larger diameter ducts are the air conditioning units. So that's just a temporary, just to exhaust it to the outside.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is area B North. This is area AB South. They've got the curtain wall. The curtain wall is on the ground here for this area here, the two-story section with the balcony. That will be going next. This is the east side of the gym, all the window frames and glasses in. We just need the 2x4 battens here to install the E-Pay siding.
And we're looking at insulation. Is that what that brown stuff is?
Yeah, this is a what do they call this, Jeff?
The mineral rock.
Fiber insulation. It's fireproof, waterproof. It's used typically on the rain screen systems.
Thanks.
Jeff, it's not waterproof, is it? It's just
Yeah,
water.
it's water.
It doesn't be
Well,
bothered
it's
by water.
Water will not soak up in it. Well, it's meant to a little bit, and then it dries itself out. It's not like any other material you've come across.
Yeah, doesn't damage the material if it gets wet.
Correct.
This is the curtain wall frames for the gym and the cafe. This is one area, and then this is the other. So it'll be starting these probably early next week. They'll start these large openings in the cafe and gym. Here's all the glass for the curtain walls. So all the parts and pieces are there. Some interior shots. This is A wing. They're finishing up the plywood battens here for the wood ceilings. This is A. Everything is the drywall is complete, and then it's been primed and first coated on the walls. Mechanicals are in real good shape. We're going to be starting ceilings in here next week. This is the west entry into A. This is where all your kids are going to be coming in with you, with your bus loop there, or the no, I'm sorry, the parent drop off.
That's the kindergarten and pre-K, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
This is the south entry into A wing. These are the ceilings in B wing. You can see started to turn the permanent lights on. We've done a lot of final painting on the hollow metal, and a lot of the interior glass has been installed now.
Looks like there's light fixtures in there too, huh?
Yep. Yep. This is one of the gang toilet rooms. They don't call them gang toilet rooms. The unisex toilet rooms, I guess they're called. This is the corridor side. This is where you have your Bradley sinks. Then you have an opening here and an opening there to go around to your fixtures. This is looking in the backside of what we saw the blue tiles on the other side of this wall. So toilet partitions we should have next week, and then it's followed by toilet accessories, and we're pretty much wrapped up in here.
Is the flooring in on that? Is that
Yeah, the flooring. Yeah, the flooring is in, and they just put this protective board over it. Some mechanical rough-ins they started. These are for these water heaters. This is like a rack that they pre-assembled, and they'll pipe everything. But they're doing pretty good on the plumbing side. There's drinking fountains are going in. That is all I have for photos. Any questions on photos?
Al, it may just be the way you think of it, but you said the plumbing is going pretty well. I hear the word pretty and wonder what that means in your mind.
It's on schedule, I would say.
Okay.
So are essentially all the windows in except for some of your curtain walls?
All the windows are in. We're doing storefronts right now. And then next week we'll do the 2 large curtain walls at the cafe and the gym. We'll start those.
Okay.
And
Are
the
they-
storefronts are on the inside.
Right, sorry.
Yeah.
Are they caulked and watertight or not yet?
Yes, all the windows that we have installed have at least 1 layer of caulk. On everything all the windows in A have been caulked inside and out. The windows in C have only been caulked on the outside. They need caulking on the inside, but that's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, other questions on the building itself? We can move on to some of the other things. So schedule overview. Are there, I don't know, Scott's gonna put something up, but there were a number of things that we're kind of been waiting on. So the DOAS unit was supposed to arrive, I believe, tomorrow at Sullivan Benson.
It was supposed to ship, I believe it was supposed to ship tomorrow.
Okay. And you have confirmation of that or nothing yet?
We don't have confirmation, no.
And the elevator materials?
The elevator, we had the field foreman for Coney on site today. He took a look at our shaft and everything we were supposed to do for him. We had to put in some temporary disconnects and some netting and some barriers for him. So he's all set, and he's released the elevator shipping from Ohio. So we should have that probably the end of next week.
Okay. And you mentioned the air leaks. And how's abatement proceeding?
Abatement is actually going very well. They're doing the exterior abatement now, and that will be a couple more days. And then they'll be bringing in their demo equipment for the 65 edition, probably mid to late next week.
Okay.
So I would think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that will be 100% done.
The 65 wing or the whole building?
The whole building.
Okay.
So, Al, you said very well versus pretty well. So does that mean it's ahead of schedule?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's like the lights. It's we have lights going on in certain areas. It's good to see that, they're progressing, they're doing their final connections and stuff. But no, we still have a long way to go. They're proceeding well.
Al, one big concern I had, and I don't know how well placed it is the staircase height. It, by all evidences, looks like it was put in low by like half an inch.
Yeah, we agree it was put in a half-inch low. We met with the contractor yesterday. We have some additional information that we sent him today as far as we did a survey. Shots. Basically, this whole staircase has to be raised a half an inch.
I would confirm that half-inch because I'm getting anywhere between 1/2 and 3/4. So just double check it. They should all be 7-inch risers.
Yep.
And what's the mechanism for that, Al? Do they just jack the whole thing up, or does it have to be?
Yeah, they just have to cut the wells, support it, cut the wells, and then just raise it up and re-weld it. It's not an easy job, but.
And Al, I ask this kind of question all the time. How does this sort of mistake actually happen? It seems like such a, heavily planned, and anyway, how does it happen?
It's a good question. It's just a oversight in the field, or lack of oversight in the field.
So in terms of, a big event coming up is the delivery of the FF&E first week of September. And how are you feeling about schedule regarding those deliveries?
Those deliveries I'm not feeling as good about. We do have some issues with the interior. We have temperature and humidity issues. First being that we cannot install the gym floor unless we have the permanent HVAC. So we're putting that off until after the DOAS is up and running. We had a environmental plan from a vendor. We installed the dehumidifiers and AC units that they recommended. And with this heat wave that we've had the past 2 weeks, we were over 80 degrees in the building. And when they were doing the furring for the wood ceilings, it was over 100 degrees at the raised roofs. So Monday morning, we got a delivery of 20 brand new dehumidifiers. Those are installed now. This is actually the first day that they're all installed and running. So we're going to check tomorrow and see if tomorrow's supposed to be another hot day, to see if we have any better control. We have some more AC units lined up if we need them. But it's just a very difficult situation we have with no permanent HVAC. So that has a potential of holding up millwork and flooring. Because flooring, we have to be less than 80 degrees.
Right. And does the millwork have to condition then at a lower humidity since it's gotten high?
Yeah, the humidity for millwork has to be less than 55% relative humidity. And for the most part, we've been doing that. We've had some areas that I don't think we've been over 60 in humidity. We're controlling humidity a lot better than we are controlling temperature.
Mm.
So, but the next area to do would be A. So we're going to need, another 10 or 12 units over there just to take care of the classrooms and admin over there.
And does having the windows in, I mean, I assume that helps.
Oh, it helps it. Yeah, a great deal. Yeah. And venting all the exhaust out, because the dehumidifiers, they take the room air in and they discharge warm air. So that adds to the temperature. So we've been ducting those to the outside to try to alleviate that additional heat. So tomorrow we'll have a better gauge on where we're at with temperature and humidity
Okay.
with these new units running.
Are there
Or maybe we
any-
just need more insulation.
Are there
the,
any other sort of critical items that are delayed or anything else in terms of the procurement list?
There's one other construction related item that we started prepping for the floors in B-wing lower, and we've got a dusting problem. We got the top layer of the slab is creating dust. So we've had a number of consultants come in and take a look at it, and we've gotten recommendations from them of how to correct this. Let me first say that there's multiple reasons why you can have dusting on concrete. And one of the first item is when you start your finishing operation too soon. If there's water present on the top, it could cause a weak film of concrete on the top of your slab. They also do not recommend placing concrete directly on a polyethylene vapor barrier, which is what we have here. We have a 10 mil Stego vapor barrier, and we're placed directly on top of that. They recommend 3 to 4 inches of a fill or a crushed stone. If you don't provide a proper curing to the slab once it's finished, that could cause dusting. In our case, we had a wet cure. So we had a film that went on top and it was immediately wet, and it had to sit under those conditions for, I think it was a week before we could remove the vapor barrier. And the last item would be when you use propane heat to heat a space and it's not properly ventilated, you can get carbon dioxide into the air, and it has an effect on the chemical reaction of the concrete. And that could cause the top of the concrete to dust. So those are like the 4 things that will cause concrete dusting. So to repair what we have there, or to keep it from dusting, we can shot blast the floor and top it with a self-leveling product. There's also, they also say that you can minimize or eliminate dusting by applying a chemically available floor hardener, such as sodium silicate, metallic zinc, or magnesium floor or silicate. So we're going to explore that. We've used that product in the past. or you can wet grind the surface, but they don't recommend doing that. So it's really, we have two options according to the people we've had in. It would be shot blasting and skim coating, or the chemical hardener and cleaning and chemical hardening applied to the top of the slab.
Randy, if I could, I'd like to just clarify one point. I believe the way that the system was specified is correct. It used to be a number of years ago, the Concrete Institute recommended the vapor barrier below the stone subbase. The issue they found a number of years back was if the building was not dried in, you could potentially get a pool of 3 to 4 inches of water below your freshly poured slab. So they moved the vapor barrier up to be in contact with the concrete slab. So I believe what Al was referencing was an older standard. I believe that has been updated, and the way it was specified by the design team is correct.
Okay.
So in terms of figuring out the solution, is that within the next few days that that's going to happen?
Oh yeah, we're going to get resolutions to this by Monday or Tuesday next week.
Okay. Okay. Are there other questions from the committee for Al?
I have a question. I may have just missed something, but how large is the area where this problem exists?
It exists in all of B lower. It exists in half of B main. A lower is fine. All of C is fine. And area A, the area we tested, started dusting. We didn't test any further in A, but we will be doing that before we, do a treatment.
Can you give us a percentage of the floor area now?
I would say it's 50% of the entire area.
Not counting the gym?
Counting the gym, yeah.
Okay, and Mary had her hand up, and then Steve.
I just wanted to clarify, Randy, I thought you had said before about the DOAS unit that it was arriving tomorrow. And Al said, no, that's when it's shipping, but it's on the procurement log as the on-site date being tomorrow. So I just make sure I heard that right.
Al, do you want to clarify? I thought it was arriving at Sullivan Benson tomorrow, and then it would be on site a little later, but maybe it's shipping tomorrow to Sullivan Benson.
Yeah, I don't have the procurement log, but the procurement log should have the latest information.
The one I'm looking at in the packet says in the projected on-site date, July 29. So.
Okay.
I believe the procurement log should be on the screen if everyone can see that.
Yeah, we can
And I
see
think
it.
this is the date that's being referenced tomorrow, 7/29/22, air handling at DOAS.
Okay.
So we're not expecting it tomorrow. I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly, and I don't know that I understand it any better.
Yeah, no, we've asked for confirmation, but we have not received it.
Okay.
Well, we asked our subcontractor. We didn't call date.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Al? Steve?
Yeah, with respect to the concrete dusting, this is more of a cosmetic / adherence issue, not a structural integrity thing. Like we don't have to worry about the floors not being up to full strength because of it.
No, correct. The floors are all to strength per the testing lab IMTL. Yeah, so it's more of a deviation, I guess, in the top of the slab.
Okay.
It's the first time I've run into the problem.
Yeah, we just don't want flooring tiles and things to be popping off later.
Yeah, actually, we did the pole test in area A and C and A, and for barrier 1, and the pole test passed. So we didn't really know we had a dusting problem until they started prepping the slabs, to get rid of all the, drywall compound and stuff. They were cleaning up the slab, and it was excess dusting. That's how we found out about it. But the pole test that we did for the adhesives passed. They passed the manufacturer's requirements anyways for the air barrier. But
Okay.
Can we just go a little further with this dusting issue? Is it something that continues to occur, sight unseen? Does the concrete sort of, again, wording, I don't mean to put a jarring word in here, but degrade on the surface, even when the adhesive is, a piece of tile or something is stuck to it? Will the concrete continue to dust underneath it all and give it, let go?
no, it won't. It's a thin layer on the top. It's like a 1/16 of an inch, according to the consultants that we had in.
But from what you've said, the solution sounds like it's to basically sand it down. I don't know if that's what you really said, and then coat it with a self-leveling stuff. Shouldn't it be enough to just kind of sand it down, or no? Is that not really what you're doing?
No, well, they recommend either shot blasting it.
That's what I'm calling sanding down. Can you tell us what shot blasting is?
Shot blasting, it's like little
It's like
BBs.
sandblasting with BBs. Yeah. Okay.
Sort of, yeah, like that. And it just takes a like top layer off of a slab. And then you would follow it up with a self-leveling mixture. And then you would do your floor prep on top of that, like an Ardex or something, topping slab. And
is shot blasting sort of programmable, meaning that you can shoot at it at very specific, I don't know what to call it, pressures or intensities, and you can engineer it that way? Is that so you know that you've gone down so far? And then my second question is, what's the surface like after you've shot blasted?
Oh, it's very rough after you shot blast. It's very rough. But then you clean the surface, you vacuum it, and then you put the self-leveling topping on, and it comes out, perfect.
And back to my first question, is it a very, is it a high tech? I mean, I know it's pretty just plain grueling work, I would imagine, but can you actually, dial it into exactly where you want it to go in terms of depth or hardness of the residual material? How does that work?
Yes, you can adjust it for different depths. It's not that much. You're talking 1/16 of an inch, and the other thing we're exploring is the chemical hardener, and that we would sand the floor, pull up all the loose dust, and then apply a chemical hardener to the top.
Tony?
So here's my question. I'm trying to get a sense of the significance and the seriousness of this problem. Let's say we did absolutely nothing. What would the consequence be?
That's a good question.
The flooring manufacturer, the flooring installer, my understanding is they are not accepting the floor slabs as suitable to put down the floor tile.
Right.
So if you ask them to put it down and not do anything without them accepting it, you would be absolving them from any warranty issues or any issues with the floor coming up. So this is a construction related issue. It needs to be resolved to the satisfaction of the flooring installer. They need to accept the slabs, then they will put down the tile, and then you'll have your appropriate warranty.
Okay, so the floor installer is saying this would potentially violate our guarantees. So you have to do it whether it's not just an aesthetic issue. It's going to have some real consequence for the lifetime of the flooring tiles.
Yes, it'll all be covered up with flooring material. So it's,
Right.
it's strictly an installation issue that needs to be resolved.
Yeah, but it's the same as having bad soil under the building or something. There is, you may not see it, but it sounds like it's superficial, but it's not.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Al? Okay, then, thanks, Al, for that update.
Thank you.
That brings us then to the architect's update. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't have much other than issuing the latest number 16 site observations report and answering any RFIs and submittals that keep coming my way. So still trying to stay positive and be helpful and proactive as much as I can. And sometimes it does get difficult because I don't understand why things are done a certain way, but every contractor has their own way of working. So I can't really get into that so much. Field report stands. I wait for corrections and photographs documenting that the corrections have been made. And next time I'm back, I will review and make sure that things are checked off.
Jeff, in looking at your latest report, and I know you kind of just offered a disclaimer there about saying you can't really, speak to contractors' methods and why they're necessarily going about things the way they are, but, certainly a lot jumped out at me as being cause for concern. Some of this maybe falls in more the realm of, cosmetic or aesthetic, design considerations that have less to do with code. Not to say that those considerations don't matter a lot to us because we want to get the building that, built the way we designed it. But, I briefly conferred with the building inspector. I don't know what percentage here, but, probably a third, if not closer to half of these seem to be code related and some seem to be pretty significant, i.e. expensive remedies or intensive remedies, not easy to fix. So I guess it has me concerned. Some of these don't seem particularly straightforward to resolve, but I mean, I guess without getting into these one by one, do you feel that all of this can be rectified in a relatively straightforward way?
I think there's quite a bit that I think can and should be, and hopefully will be. There are some issues which, like relating to, actually, let me just share my screen. I can walk you through it while we're here. Let's see here. Okay, let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, that's up.
Okay, things like the steel rail, obviously, those will definitely need to be fixed. For me, I'm marking this because it's not that it's not too late, but this hole should have been filled before the ceiling went up. But that's the contractor's thing. If they have trades moving and grooving and they got to come back and lift that grid or disassemble the grid from the wall to get in there to do a proper patch, that's their thing. I'll just be checking for levelness and make sure that it's not hollow and tapping on it, things like that. Things like the stair rail at the edge, yeah, definitely those, I can see those being automatically fixed. Unistrut items, small things we have to discuss. I'd prefer to have this fastened through the beam, but maybe there's another way to make this less like a mechanical room, the unistrut connections. So those will be up for discussion. I believe they started flipping the Z-girts here. It looks like they have in the recent photos that I just saw tonight. There were still some issues on the gym. That's why I left this on as a field report item. The CMU in the gymnasium. This is a ground-faced finished CMU product. Let me just hop to the gym here. Where was I? So things like that, where the coursing was to be centered. Let me just find the correct one. I think it was on the field report behind it. Where is it here? Let me find it. It's further up. Hold on a second here. Let me come up here. Bear with me.
Page 24.
Yeah, let me go here, 24. Must have just passed right over it. Yeah, so for instance, you know, aesthetically, this is what drives architects crazy, but things happen. The ground face CMU was supposed to be centered in between the steel columns because those columns are expressed. And the subcontractor started at one end and decided to do one cut block instead of two cut blocks. So when I notice this, you know, for instance, something like that, there's no way I'm going to make them tear down the wall. But there is a condition in the general conditions of the contract that says that if the owner wants to accept non-conforming work, say in this case, that maybe there's a monetary value back that is reconciled between the contractor and the owner. So this is a way to track that. Adam had asked me of Colliers to keep track of this, so I'm going to leave this on until that's resolved. Things like this, I'm expecting to hopefully be fixed if they can. You know, the cut block a little too short than the other one. I mean, sure, it's aesthetic, but at the same time, it just looks sloppy, you know. There is a big issue coming that I think we'll discuss at some point that I feel very strongly about, and that's this. And rather than going deep into it, and I don't want to rile Al up or Scott or anybody, but I have an elevation here on the south side of the gym that shows things horizontal. And there is a condition here where it's built, they followed the steel drawings, and they obviously the exterior elevations show a different configuration. This happens in two spots. So my concern is here, there's a roof drain not far away. So, and the siding is all horizontal. So this will come up as something that I'm going to recommend to the committee to accept later on. So that's a big one. Things like the cleaning of the CMU and the stairwell. There's a lot of these things. I think they started to address most of these already, the screws and the hollow metal frames. So once
Yeah, just so you're aware, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do not have a resolved PCO for the condition you were just showing to the committee for that roof edge, which actually occurs in two locations. There's no action item for that on the committee.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, at this time. Things like in all the admin rooms along the whole main, between the two entrance, the main entrances. Yeah.
Jeff, to be fair, in whoever does it, Ray or Al or somebody, in their response, Newfield's response, they have addressed those, the thing like the little tabs. They are going to deal with it. They totally agree with you on the, you know, like that tab there on the left. The stuff like the railing, they got it, they know it, and so forth. So they have commented on a lot of these and understand them, and they've commented on them to the effect that, yep, we've got this. They don't necessarily say oversight or, damn, wish we hadn't done that. But anyway, some of these things are already, I consider them resolved.
Okay, well, they'll come off as soon as I see them resolved in the field. I haven't seen them resolved. Once they're resolved to my satisfaction, then they'll come off.
Yep.
Okay, so other than that, you know, that's the way it stands right now.
Okay, any other
But
questions?
I'm sorry, does that really get at what Ryan was concerned about?
I guess maybe another way I could have asked what I was asking is, so in the scope of a project of this magnitude, maybe the way I could have asked it is this level of discrepancy and you know, sort of length of list of things that need to be resolved, everything from smaller things to higher order things, is this all within the sort of realm of what you would typically expect to see, or is this, in your opinion, maybe more of a reflection of things that crop up when a project is under the gun and trying to be getting done within a really hurried fashion?
Yeah, I think partly the second, but I also sense that maybe some of this is just maybe being more on top of the subs as far as, direction, maybe. You know, for instance, the clips, you know, I wouldn't necessarily, but that's Newfield's realm. I can't really get into it, but it would make sense not to put the sheetrock up until you cut the clips, right? So now they got to go back and take the sheetrock off, cut the clips, and then patch it. So it becomes a patch and then another patch. So that's the only thing that I'm seeing that seems to be relatively consistent here, which is I'm not 100% used to that, I guess.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, one of the things we had discussed a while back was getting a second, I don't know if it was a foreman or whatever on site and maybe doing 2 shifts. Would something like that alleviate some of the pressure to feel rushed? Like now that we have so many different things going on in the building, so much work that could be getting done, is 2 shifts something we should put back on the table for discussion?
I think it's something that we have to look at once we get a resolution on what we're doing with the floor dusting. That's something that we could definitely do on a second shift. We could do on first and second shift, actually. So yeah, we'll look into that. We do have a second supervisor. We have put them on. He's been here for probably 2 months now.
Mary, do you have your hand up?
Did. So Chris Kiefner had said before, when Al uses the word, it's going pretty well. Chris hears the word pretty. The word that Jeff just said that jumps out at me is hopefully they will be. And then we went on to look at some pictures, and I completely agree with you, Jeff. It looks sloppy. It's not in anybody's vision to have that wall. You know, it just looks like, oh, whoops, we finished and now we got to fill in this little gap. And I hate the idea that people are going to live generations with this building for something that is not being done the way it was expected to be done. I appreciate that certainly the pictures that you showed of the stair railing, those are obvious and are going to be fixed, but it needs to look good. Some of those pictures scare me a little bit.
Okay. So Jeff and, and if people from Newfield, I know will be, they have the list of things to do and they'll check off them and they'll get reviewed. So any other comments or questions? Okay. Then we can move on. Thanks, Jeff. We'll move on to the OPM update.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's Scott from Colliers. Start off, again, I think Al touched on this, the demo permit. We finally got the demo permit issued after we received the power cutoff letter from Eversource. They had gotten the 1960s interior completed, started on the exterior. It was a little bit of a coordination issue there with the building department, so they moved back to the interior of the main building. And as Al mentioned, they're going to start removal of 1960s wing next week, which is good because they need that to support the installation of the site utilities, storm drainage systems. Did get some communications with Al, and I see he's on. There has been some additional water testing done. The latest test, I believe, that was in your packet did have everything below the thresholds. One was close, but we're continuing that process. I believe the design team is also, and provisions were made within the design, if any type of water treatment needed to be installed, based on water testing, that they had left provisions within the design, within the piping to make a fairly rapid installation. So the design team is being proactive in looking at systems, along in conjunction with the district, if in fact any type of treatment needs to be performed. Based on approvals this evening, we're going to be sending off the next application for reimbursement to the state, the SCG 046. We've got that ready to go. The only thing remaining would be getting the signed application for the next application for Newfield. I will say from a quality standpoint, we currently, as with every pay application, are holding back 5% till the end of the job. Certainly, I think the design team's been doing a good job about recognizing all of these issues earlier than later. They will be corrected when we get farther down the road. If we see that things aren't being corrected properly, I would say, not speaking for Jeff, but I would certainly, Colliers would recommend potentially holding back money as far as payment if we're not seeing those things being complete. We're not at that point yet. I believe, TSKP would support that as well. As far as the chalking issue on the floor slabs, we're aware of that. Our field rep, Joe Luciano, has been working very closely, especially in the past few days, with Susan Pinkney from TSKP Studios. Susan, if you recall, was the interior designer responsible for furniture design and procurement. They have started reaching out to the furniture installers, looking to find out what the impact would be if furniture deliveries had to be put off to the end of September. At this point, I think you heard Al, we would agree there's not a confidence level that we're going to have the flooring installed, cleaned, prepped, ready to go for furniture installation by September 6th. So we're starting to coordinate that. In addition to that, elevator, which is just arriving on site, there is a concern that the elevator also would not be complete and operational by that date. So we're watching that as well. And then if I can share my screen, Adam has been working with, I know there's been a number of meetings on the school site. Again, this is sort of following the town direction as far as, locational signage throughout Mansfield. There was a number of meetings and my understanding is that this was the final sort of selection of a sign. This is not through Newfield. Again, this is being coordinated, through the signage through the town. Right now, the rough estimate from the sign manufacturer, the individuals that have been working with the town to develop this signage, is about just shy of $21,000. This will go out to bid, and we will look to make sure that when it does go out to bid, that we send it. We'll get the recent bidding information from some of the other signs installed within the town, make sure that those contractors receive that proposal to provide the signage for the school. The one issue, and you can actually see, let's see if it's that photo, maybe it's not, maybe it's here. Yes, it's here. So you can see in this photo, the sign is proud of the ornamental fence. This ornamental fence is right here in plan. And we understand that, I believe that is the demarc for the state right-of-way to Connecticut 89. So we believe that this sign may in fact have to either come back and be put, make a space within the gate, pull it back onto the site off of the state right-of-way, either in this location. And I do know that there have been some thoughts also about putting it maybe slightly angled on the opposite side of the entry in this location. So certainly, that's not anything that needs to be resolved this evening. But certainly, if there's any thoughts from the committee, we'd certainly be open to hearing those thoughts on potential sign placement. If you wanted to maintain this ornamental fence, again, I think then it might be appropriate to look at moving the sign to the opposite side of the entry drive.
Jeff?
Yeah, this is interesting because I'm wondering if we need actual letters on the building now. Perhaps there might be a credit ensued, or that we don't necessarily need to have, or should we still have the giant letters on the school itself around the canopy area? I mean, if we have this sign at the gate, do we need additional signage on the school itself?
Personally speaking, not for the committee, I mean, I'll just level my opinion very quickly as an architect. I think having the signage on the school is appropriate. But again, another point of discussion.
Chris, you're muted. I don't know if you're trying to talk to us.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I on that sign, Scott, I don't know why you don't suggest that it, I'm curious why you don't suggest that it be in that other nook below the word build to location.
It
Right
could
there.
go here. I think the one thing we've got to check on, and I was talking about this with Adam earlier in the week, is I believe this may be a new tree, but underneath necessarily canopy of that tree or over in this location. I think if this is planted, we just want to make sure that it's moved away from that root structure,
Okay.
of that canopy slightly.
The
But
other thing,
it could be placed here as well. You are correct.
you kind of suggested you might want input. Well, I would love to see the sign made a little smaller, and one way to do that would be to left justify the words and then pull the whole thing down a little bit, have a little less blue, have shorter posts and so forth. Could probably get, I don't know, 8 inches. It just looks very tall to me. It's very large.
Well, yeah, you can see a human form here.
Yeah.
So probably somewhere between, probably this individual's
Like
probably
7
around
feet
5'10".
tall. Yeah.
So
Anyway, I would prefer to see it smaller. And as for the putting the name on the school, I see that as a potential future expense, frankly, if and when this building is named after somebody, or something else, or whatever it is, geographic or individual. That'll mean 2 places to change it. And here we just have 1. Or we could put it on the one and not have to take it off of the other. So anyhow, I would suggest we just keep it to 1 and the sign is fine.
So, I mean, for tonight, this is kind of just an FYI. Here's the appearance of the sign. I think if we want to do a real discussion of this, of, 1 place versus 2, we might want to, I don't know if we have a rendering of what the sign would look like on the school itself, the lettering.
That's a good point, Randy. I could do one.
Okay. I think we'd probably be a little better informed if we knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
And does planning and zoning also have some input on the location of the sign?
yeah, whenever, whether it's within the fence in this area, then yes, it will have to be put on the site plan and submitted to zoning for approval.
Okay. But these are signs that are consistent with the rest of the signage throughout the town. I guess at least anticipated. So Steve, question?
Not so much a question as, I guess, my unsolicited opinion on the sign. That was probably my least favorite of the 3 options that were in the board packet. And I don't know that it's too late to change it, and if so, that's fine. But if I were to get a vote, I'd go with the one that has the stone on both sides. I like the idea that it kind of fits with the whole stone wall thing, and it seemed to have just looks better to my eye. I think Chris nailed it with the one we have there. Has a little bit too much blue, or it has a funny feel. I don't know exactly what it is, but I thought the stone one in the packet that had like the U-shaped stone around it had a nicer look. Anyway, one thing that Scott had mentioned before we get too much further along regarding the water. Scott, do you know the next time we're going to do a water test?
Actually, there was supposed to be a test today dependent on weather. I know there was a concern of storms. So they were supposed to do a test. Now, Al, I don't know, you probably know if that occurred today. They may have postponed it due to, they certainly can't do a hose stream or a water test if it's raining.
Yeah, no, they did cancel it this morning based on the forecast, but we never got any rain.
So we're doing another one like proactively, basically.
We'll look to reschedule probably next week, yes.
Great. Wonderful. All right, thank you.
Okay, so I think that the sign, we'll have a sign discussion at one of the next couple of meetings.
Yeah, and I know, Randy, I know there was a number of meetings where Kelly, I think Peter, Dart, some other individuals, Adam attended those. I believe I was not present, so it's hard for me to discuss particulars of those meetings, but I know the group did look at all 3 options and that this was ultimately the option that was preferred.
Okay, so we'll bring this back to the committee in an upcoming meeting.
So if there's no more comments or questions on the report, we can go into, we do have a few issues to talk about under agenda item 6 before we get to the potential change orders. There was actually 3 items. The first being a proposal from TSKP Studios. And again, all this was in your information packet. I can bring it up on the screen if needed. But it was a proposal, an amendment to do some additional planning and permitting for the buffer zone. And I don't know, Jeff, if you want to speak a little bit to the proposal that you and Richard put together. But I believe it involves meeting with the neighbors, some additional planning, and then taking whatever that solution is through zoning.
Yeah, I believe that goes back to the fact that the whole tree issue where we took down a bunch of trees and then we asked our landscape architect to provide some additional trees and layout, and then we had to go, I guess, to P&Z to get that reviewed and signed off. So I guess it's mainly additional funds for our landscape architects.
Yeah, and trike path, including in the planning and zoning.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so this is then an amendment to the TSKP services.
Correct.
Are there additional questions? Okay, then is there a motion to approve
Randy,
TSKP?
I'm sorry, I had a question.
Sorry, go ahead. Wait a minute. Mary.
Jeff, of that $6,700, do you know how that breaks down, trike path during versus plantings?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
Honestly, Mary, I think the cost to, I mean, they included it, but the cost to just show the trike path on the plan and when it goes back to planning and zoning, they've already designed the trike path. So from a standpoint of using AutoCAD or Revit or their models, throwing it onto the drawing and having a part of the submission is pretty minor.
I believe that's what they
did. Richter and Segan to meet with the neighbors, design the additional screening, and then work on the plantings and screening buffer approvals with zoning.
So I think that's where I'm confused, is I wasn't sure that we had ever decided on additional plantings. Is that our purview, or does that fall in somebody else's department?
So I think, and we've talked about this in committee, but trying to make sure that there's adequate screening for the neighbors. So we had some pictures from back and forth between the school and the neighbors, and I think it's involved with designing that, making sure it's adequate, whether it's through your plannings or whatever else it might take.
So we haven't specifically decided.
No, that's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Okay, so then is there a motion to approve TSKP Amendment 7 for the amount of $6,748 for the site plans and supporting documents for plans and planning and zoning commission? Okay, thank you, Steve. Is there a second? Okay, I don't want this to die for but I will second it then. If that's appropriate, but
You beat me, Randy. Good job.
okay. Then all in favor of the motion to approve TSKP Amendment 7, please indicate. Okay. Tony, are you there, Tony?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion to approve the TSKP Amendment 7. Are you in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then that's unanimous. All right.
Okay, moving on, the next one we have to discuss is some additional fog testing. If the committee, recalls, previously they'd approved 3 tests for a total of $9,000. These were to BVH. What we're requesting, those tests have been completed. And if you recall, the tests actually did what they were supposed to do, discovered an issue in area A, second floor, that requires retesting. And the second test that we're looking to perform would be above the gymnasium. Again, these are above and beyond. It's kind of a belt and suspenders, but again, I believe that it was a good use of funds, would be a good use of funds again. So we're looking to procure an additional $6,000 to get BVH to do 2 more tests, just to ensure that the envelope is not experiencing any issues.
I move we approve the $6,000 to
Okay.
get BVH to do the work.
$6,000 even to BVH. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Mary, and okay, Mary, and Mary seconded.
Quick question, Randy, before we vote,
Yes.
just informational. I'm all for this, by the way. Scott, it said in there that they were proposing this in place of a blower door test. Are we still doing a blower door test? That just comes later, or are we giving up on that?
I'm not, I apologize, Steve. I am not sure. This is a very different test. Certainly, before ceilings get closed up and everything else, doing this test, as you heard, there's still curtain wall. There's still a lot of things where the building is open. So I don't have that information. We can try and have that answer ready for you at the next meeting. I'm not sure if they're still anticipating a blower door test, or we're going to take a credit back on that. But certainly, I think these tests have proved to be very useful.
Yeah, I'm all for this, and I'll vote in favor of it. But I also would like to do the blower door test once it's appropriate. Once we have all the glass in, and once the DOAS is up and running, and all that stuff, just so that we know. Like, it's great to do the spot testing, but I think a blower door of the entire building, once it's fully tight, would still be something I'd be interested in the future. And that's all I have.
My understanding is that there still would be a blower door test. We can get confirmation. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve BVH change order for $6,000. All in favor, please indicate. And okay, thank you, Tony. And so then that is unanimous. All right.
Okay, so the next one, we're getting a little ahead on this one, but may as well get it out of the way. Back when we were in, sort of pre-referendum, as you recall, we had a traffic study done, and that was developed the work that we had to do on the intersection of 195 and 89. That was done by Malone and McBroom. Now they've been, I guess, purchased by another company or had a name change. So it's still the same company, but there is a proposal from SLR to do a follow-up traffic study. Now, the follow-up traffic study is a requirement of the planning and zoning approval. They wanted a follow-up traffic study done 3 months after building opening. So we're anticipating sometime probably after the new year, potentially in January, with school in session, just so they can see if the improvements to that intersection adequately resolved any concerns. So this, again, was a requirement. The initial or the original traffic study was $15,000. We received this follow-up traffic study, and the amount is $7,500. We were carrying $5,000 in the budget, recognizing that we were going to need this follow-up traffic study. So we're a little shy of our guesstimate on what that cost would be. But again, we feel it's appropriate, and it makes a lot of sense to have the design team that did the original traffic study do the follow-up traffic study.
Okay, Tony?
I'll move to approve this proposal.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there a second? Steve seconds. Any other questions, comments? Chris?
I do. Yeah. How many days does this thing take place over and it seemed, I think your $5,000 estimate felt a lot better to me than the $7,500.
It's over a number of days. I'd have to reread the proposal. It's not fresh in my mind. I've got it in front of me. I'm just kind of quickly going through it. Chris. Let me see here, center limitations. I thought they said, I believe it said that it was like going to be like 30 days to complete the task once it was undertaken.
It says, what I'm reading, Scott, is as was done in our original study, it would the counts take place mornings and afternoons.
Yeah, counts take place from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. to 5, 29 capacity studies. Document follow-up billing.
I guess,
Also-
Scott, the question would be, is this a, that's their new price? That's what they want to charge us? Or is this a ceiling that you're putting on this?
No, this is the price. And actually they had some miscellaneous expenses in there as well for 1,000. And when apologize, when Adam drew up, not to exceed, just on ticketed items, but when Adam drew it up, so the motion actually should be amended to be 8,500.
Well, it's 7,500 plus.
Plus
reimbursement.
1,000 of unreimbursables not to exceed, that would be by actual expense, direct expense. Yeah, I do think if we went back out on the street and asked for a follow-up traffic study without the baseline, I believe it would be more.
Yeah, considering how much the first one was. Okay, Tony?
The reason I propose this is that this is a contentious issue in the community, and I think it's really important that we get it done and we get it done correctly.
And is in fact required by planning and zoning.
Right.
So
Yes.
okay, so we have a motion, a second to approve the SLR proposal dated July 26th, the amount of $7,500 plus reimbursable traffic count fees and direct expenses. For a follow-up traffic studies required by Planning and Zoning Commission condition of approval for the project. So then all in favor, please indicate. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimously in favor. Okay.
Okay, so we'll proceed on to the PCOs. We have 4 to discuss this evening, the first being PCO 93. This was a request by the building official, authority having jurisdiction, to place some fireproofing mineral wool where the corridor walls terminate with the exterior walls. It was done in multiple locations. I don't, Jeff, you may know the number of locations, but it was a number of locations. Total cost on this one was just $948.35. It's been reviewed by Colliers and by TSKP Studios, and we recommend payment.
Yeah, this was requested by the building inspector. He went through and there was 2 locations where he wanted to see that packed in those 2 areas.
Do we do these individually, Randy, or we just?
Yeah, I think
do
let's run through
Okay.
these individually.
I'd
So
like to
is
move we approve this one.
motion to approve PCO 93. Is there a second? Steve? Any final questions? Then all in favor of approving PCO 93, please indicate. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, PCO 96. These are the ones we always like to see. This is a credit for elimination of a motorized damper in the kitchen. This was
Read
reviewed
no more. I move we approve it.
by the design team, and we're recommending taking the credit.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second by Mary. Any last questions? And all in favor, please indicate. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, similar fashion, PCO 97 is a credit. This is a credit. The drawings included a monitor for the dashboard display, and actually that monitor now is being purchased under FF&E through the district IT. So there is no need to have this this monitor as part of the project. We're recommending accepting the credit back of $590 for the 42-inch monitor.
Okay, I move we approve that.
Okay, thank you. Second by Steve. All in favor of approving PCO 97? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, and the last one, we've been waiting for some modifications, which we received today. PCO 81R, R being the revision, is for the alternative walk-in cooler freezer. Originally this one was up over $40,000. The design team has worked closely with Al reviewing this, trying to get that down. I don't know, Jeff, if you want to just quickly talk about, I know we have talked about this with the committee in the past, that there are, my understanding is there are some improvements as far as insulation in the panel system that's kind of driving this ad. But this one, again, has been reviewed by Colliers, has been reviewed by TSKP Studios, and we are recommending payment. But Jeff, if you could add anything to this, please.
Yeah, I believe it was started with a procurement issue, but the one that was submitted to us looks like it's a more efficient unit, and I believe it's going to be all around even better than what we originally had. So yeah, that's why it's here, and that's why it's an additional 19 grand. But I think it had mainly to do with the procurement issues of the old one, but this is a better unit.
Okay. So this is replacing that we could get at on a shorter time frame.
Correct.
than the first one. Okay. Is there a motion to approve PCO 81R? Okay, Mary, thank you. Is there a second? Steve, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, then all in favor of approving the all in favor of the motion to approve PCR 81R, please indicate. Okay, thank you. And that's also unanimous. All right, thank you for everyone for that, and Scott for walking us through that. We still have the invoice summary and the pay application.
Yes, would you like me to bring up the summary cover, Randy, on screen?
Sure.
Okay, again, all of this information, including all the backup invoices, were part of your invoice packet. So this is a listing of the invoices that have been reviewed and are recommended for payment this month.
Okay. Any questions on any of these?
Thumbing
Okay.
through this, it looks like the commissioning services include a blower door test.
Okay, thanks. Can we get a proper motion on approving this invoice summary? Thank you, Mary.
I would like to make a motion to approve monthly invoice packet for June of 2022, dated today, July 28th, including invoices from Atlantic, CES, Colliers Project Leaders, Gov Connection, Langen, MHA, TSKP Studios, WB Meyer, and Weston and Sampson in the amount of $141,462.27, and Newfield's application for payment number 14 in the amount of $2,953,690.38 for a total approval of $3,095,152.65.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Is there a second? Second, Steve. Any other questions, comments?
I just have a question about the WB Myers and to what extent that covers us. Is that was all anticipated moving so far?
Well, you're still within the allocated budget that we had for moving. The reason that this one is so robust is that included moving the two schools to the two existing elementary schools, getting them set up, in essence, you had almost 3 crews there. Then you had a crew also emptying out the Southeast Elementary School. So it was a considerable amount of work that was performed by WB Meyer to empty the building and then get the other 2 schools set up.
And then do we have anything after that? There's going to be some equipment, I imagine, that would be moved from the 2 schools.
Yes, there will be.
Materials, certainly.
Yes, there'll be teaching materials in all, which will be coming from the two schools into the new at that time. So yes, there will be one more phase of moving.
But it'll be significantly smaller, more modest.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, it'll be significantly smaller.
And Peter, can you just comment, have you all been pleased with them? My sense, or even Lauren, my sense is that people have been very satisfied with their work.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it was pretty impressive, just how quickly it all happened. They were very responsive. They worked in concert with our facilities crew, and we were able to quickly move not only the items out of Southeast, but then to resort and get all of the classrooms to where they were going. So there was a pretty large move of 35, maybe even more classrooms. And a lot of it was flip-flopping between Goodwin and Vinton in order to create the pre-K kindergarten grade 1 classes
Sure.
at Vinton and grade 2, 3, and 4 at Goodwin.
Great. Okay.
I would just
and-
add, communication was outstanding. They had promised us that there would be a large number of movers. They absolutely delivered. It was excellently done. Good coordination with our custodial staff too.
Great. Thanks very much for all that.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the pay application and the invoices. And it's been seconded, so all in favor, please indicate. And that's unanimous. Okay. Great. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
All right, that brings us to opportunity for public input. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the building committee? Okay, hearing none, we will move on then. I would accept a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Chris, and second from Steve. And we will see you all next time then. Thank you all.
Yep. Hey, Randy,
Yes.
Thank you, Randy.
if you could sign the Newfield